I'm Harmonix. I'm a photographer by trade. I started using the iPhone, really, the iPhone with the iPhone 4. I started using the iPhone 4 back in the day. I can't remember what year it was, but it wasn't even the 4S. But yeah, I started using the iPhone taking pictures. I used my iPhone 4 for a couple of years, actually. It was quite a strong phone. I used it for a couple of years. I used it during Insta meets. I did a lot of Insta meets. That's where I got better with my photography. And then from there, I moved on to a better iPhone, started continued taking pictures. And then in 2017, if I remember correctly, in 2017, I won the iPhone Portrait Challenge. And with that, I moved on to buying a DSLR camera, a Canon 5D Mark II. I started using that. I left corporate to pursue my dreams as a photographer. And here I am now, I'm shooting now on the iPhone 11 and I'm loving every moment of it. More especially now that I can share my knowledge with everyone else, and I wouldn't have thought that it would get me this far where I'm chatting to people in Amsterdam, Jakarta, and countrywide, basically, because when the iStore meet started, was just situated in just one outlet, and only a few people could walk in and enjoy the talk. So now I'm pretty stoked that we've branched out to online. So thank you, COVID. Now we can reach out to more people and share knowledge with more people. So these are the topics I'm going to be covering today. So what I'm going to be talking about is what is portrait mode? And I'm going to be giving you 3 tips to taking great portraits on iPhone, which is location, lighting, how to compose your image, and what goes into your software and hardware, and how to use that to your advantage. Number 3, taking an image using portrait mode. So I'm going to be showing step-by-step how to take the best portrait using your iPhone. And number 4, getting a blurred background without using portrait mode. I'll be showing you that. And adjusting the amount of depth and blur. I think that's one of my favorite features on the iPhone, and I can't wait to share that with you. So you'll see at the end there, I'll be having the Q&A. So I hope everyone is still online to give me all their questions so I can answer them all in one go. But these are the topics. Just familiarize yourselves with them. If you have any questions, just jot them down, put them in the Q&A section, and I will be getting to answer them right at the end. So yes, what is portrait mode? So let me just move that. So portrait mode is one of the shooting modes available on iPhone. This feature uses software to give you an incredible background blur. So how I'm sitting right now, the background would be slightly blurred. I've also noticed that this feature has taken off tremendously over the last couple of years, especially on socials, where if you correctly, it can actually fool the viewer to think that it was actually taken with DSLR camera. So what I want to do with this workshop is to help you manipulate your photos so that you get that DSLR feel and look just by using one of these. So these are some of the pictures I've taken on portrait mode. So the one on the left with the lady smiling there, you'll see it's not the normal picture because I shot it through a window, and now I'm getting like the gent there in the background that was sitting behind the lady. So, but as you can see, the focus remains on The lady there, as you can see, there's more sharpness. She's more in focus compared to the gent there and the reflection that's happening there. The image on the right, shot at a restaurant. This is one of my mates. I used the iPhone 11 to take this image. And as you can see, the bokeh in the background is just so beautiful, and the colors as well. This is an edited image, but yeah, the colors generally on iPhone are pretty great. Just showing you more of pictures that I've taken. On the left, I've got my cousins, which are not so little anymore. As you can see, the lady on the foreground, she's more in focus compared to the one in the back. On the right, I've got a friend of mine, Liesel. Liesel also, you'll see the background is slightly blurred, but you can still make out what's happening behind her, as she shares her wonderful smile. Went cycling with Tembi the one time, and this is a long time ago, actually, before COVID was a thing. So I had to dig deep to find like some archives and so that I could share with you guys. This is Tembi on the right and left, and we took these in Johannesburg CBD while cycling. So I just wanted to show you also the power of iPhone and just how the blur has, has evolved over time, from iPhone 7 to iPhone 11, the blur has actually gotten so much better. And I'm thankful for that, because this is the quality of image that you can actually get with your iPhone. So tip number one that I'm going to give you is your location and lighting are very important. They're very important because then they already, with your lighting and what's happening in the background, it's the tone, it sets the mood about what your photo is going to tell, or what you want to tell through your photograph. So tip number one, location and perspective is important. So it's important to know what's happening around you, what's behind your subject. So the image on the right, you'll see there's Kumo there. She's one of my cycling friends. You'll see there's a lot happening in the background, but still she's the center of attention. So that's how I used the portrait mode to kind of isolate her from what was happening in the background. But also I didn't want to show that she's alone in this image, or she's cycling alone, but I wanted to bring together the whole lifestyle of cycling, and just to show that we are all going out to cycle as a group. So after finding the right location, one needs to check the lighting. So fortunately on this day, it was a bit of a cloudy, overcast day. It was an overcast day, and the lighting just agreed with us, so the softer the light, the better. I'll explain again in the next slide, in the coming slides. So shooting in broad daylight for me is a no-no, because then you start getting very harsh marks on the face, where even in post you can't even really get rid of, and it will start tearing down, ruining the image as a whole. So how you initially take your image is very important. So be careful when you shoot in direct sunlight. So a way to combat this would be for me to either put my subject in the shade, or if I've got my reflector with me, to just diffuse the light that is coming down on the face or wherever I'm trying to shoot my subject. This just decreases the amount of the intense light that's coming through, and it just makes it a lot more softer. So soft light is definitely your friend when you're taking portraits. So when you're shooting indoors, what I like to do when I do my selfies is I'll always position myself by the window where I'm getting a lot of light in. But with that lot of light, I've got a lace curtain. So that lace curtain already acts as a diffuser for me, you know. So it kind of it already makes the light a lot softer, so that when it hits my face, I don't have any harsh um, rays hitting me on my face and causing me to shine like I am right now. So yeah, that's me on the right. You'll see the light on this side of my face is quite soft, but on this side as well, it's quite contrasty. But the image kind of it works very well because it's a soft image. It's shot also in portrait mode, the selfie portrait mode. So next time when you trying to take a portrait, try that at home. Go to the window, close your lace curtains a little bit, and then just take a couple of selfies and play around and see what you get. So location shooting outdoors. So shooting outdoors again, time of day is very important. Where you shoot is also important. So using a shaded area, I love using the shade because then I start feeling like I'm in control of what I'm shooting. You know, I feel like I'm in control of all the elements that are coming through, the lights, the shadow as well doesn't become as intense. Sometimes I'll use surrounding buildings to bounce off light onto my subject. So if there's too much light coming here, fortunately there's a building on the right hand side that's bouncing more light to fill up the face on the right hand side. So you'll see how I'm sitting right now. I've got light coming through that way and light coming through that way. So you can see the rest, all of my face. And then also I put for this tutorial, I actually put a light coming up at the top so that I can have more of a fuller face. So yeah, lighting is very, very important to getting great results. So the best time I found that the best time to shoot, I found that it's mornings and afternoons, because in the mornings and the afternoons, the light is a lot more softer. So you can shoot in the light. You can embrace golden hour as well. So in the morning as well, when the sun rises, you get great morning light that you can actually use as that you can use to light up your subject. So you'll notice a lot of professional photographers will always push for either early morning or afternoon shoots. So especially wedding photographers, they'll use the afternoons so that they can capitalize on the golden hour. So yes, location, just when you're shooting on location, just be aware of your surroundings. Your surroundings actually make up so much of your image. Like you'll see on the image on the left, I've outlined here. So I've got a piece of the building that's sticking out there. So I thought that was kind of taking away from the subject. It was creating a bit of distraction there. So I took another one there on the right, without where you can't even see the building, and it actually just makes the image more stronger. It focuses you back again onto the subject and what they're wearing, their facial expression as well. So yeah, so just make sure that the background isn't taking away from your subject. Lighting can also be used to create a contrast. It makes the image different and interesting. So you'll see, especially in these two images, I've used a lot of contrast, but how I did this was I shot also at the wrong time of day, but I had to make do with what I had on the day, you know. So it was the light coming in from the left, but as you can see, I'm using the building on the right to bounce off light to fill up her face as well. So you can see that her face is actually ending here, and there's also like definition there as well. So it also creates some interesting lines and character. Along with the image on the right as well, there's light coming there on the left, natural light coming there on the left side of the face, and then on the right there, the building again to the rescue to fill up. But the image is a contrasty image. I kind of like it. Some people may not. They like very vibrant images, but again, we're here to play with light. We're here to manipulate what we can and what we can't to get an interesting result at the end of the day. So these images also just show contrasty, how I used contrast to get my images as well. These are edited, they're edited in Visco. So the image on the left, you'll see it's more contrasty with the lady there with the curly hair. It's more contrasty. You'll see there's more of shadows there on the left side of her face, and then the right side is very nicely lit, but you can still see where her jawline ends because there's a bit of a filler light that's coming in. So filler lights are also important to kind of complete the shape of the face or whatever it is that you're trying to shoot. Because if then it's too dark here, the subject then becomes flat, and you don't want a flat image. You want everything to be very dynamic. The image on the right is Shoma Josie. I shot this. Yeah, I shot both of these images behind the scenes for the Huku music video. As you can see, she's more well lit. The light coming in over her right shoulder, but also again her face on the side and head on is well lit because of how the lights were positioned on the day. So play around with the light. There is really no right or wrong, but just try to avoid images where you can't even fix in post. What I'm trying to get through to you is, let's shoot the best image that we can from the onset, and then we do that 5-10% in post just to finesse your picture, just to give it that little boost. But I say again, little boost, not this can't be the boost and this can't be the picture. So I'm trying to get you to reverse engineer that. So again, location and lighting. This is just a demonstration that I shot with my girlfriend. We shot it well in the garden, and I just want you to watch this first, and then I'll explain. So this is what's happening. This is the environment, and then on the right there is my cell phone screen, and that's the image that I got out of it. I'm gonna take another one. So you'll notice with these, I'm not even adjusting my focus lock. I'm just making sure that the face is in focus by tapping on the screen. And yeah, so now we're moving onto the shade just to show you the difference between shooting in the sun and shooting in the shade. So that's a shot there. And then I'm gonna take another one. You'll see I'm just tapping there just to get the focus right. And I'm gonna go back to this video. I just wanna show you the results. So on the left, we have what was shot in direct sunlight. So we shot these in different lighting conditions. Direct sunlight, all on the same day, by the way. This is shooting in the shade. And then if you have a diffuser, these are the results that you get by shooting in the sun and using a diffuser. Excuse me. So out of these three, for me, the one with the diffuser is my favorite, purely because if you look closely, especially around the eye area. So let's go back to the direct sunlight. Direct sunlight, you'll see there, the lashes, ladies always want to put hectic lashes. So you'll see the shadow of the lashes are actually going into the eye. And on the shaded image, you'll see that everything is a lot more flat, but you're still getting the contours and everything from her face. And then on the right, you're literally getting from the direct sunlight and the shade. So because you're getting the color, the vibrancy as well but also around the eye area, the soft light is not creating harsh shadows that are falling into the eye. So I'm going to go back to this video and also show you. Let me just wait for that image to come so that I can pause it. So pause. So going back to shooting in direct light. So these are the harsh highlights that I was talking about. So I don't want to see these when I take pictures personally. You'll see there on the nose as well and on the cheek there. And when we move over to the shaded area, well, you can see here, on the shaded area, you have more of a balanced image. You still have a bit of highlights, but those are just creating definition on the face, which is great. You know what her face looks like, compared to when it's too highlighted, then sometimes it becomes too flat, and we don't like flat images. Well, from today, you also don't like flat images. So yeah, I'm avoiding those highlights there, as you'll see here. They're very well maintained, and then here it's just even distribution of the light because of the diffuser. So just take that in, direct sunlight, shade, and using a diffuser. So just I'll reiterate this. There is no right or wrong way of doing things. Your end product is what matters. Remember you can also still play with light. I encourage you to play with light. There are things that we as professional photographers haven't even discovered about light. So I encourage you to play around with light, shoot as much as you can, get different results, edit them differently, but try not to overdo it. Like the image I shot on the right-hand side there, I shot it at sunset. I just wanted to see if I could get a lens flare, and I managed to do that. This is all on iPhone as well. So I shot this on the iPhone 7 and edited on the iPhone 7. So there's the glare that you're seeing is natural glare. I didn't add that in post or anything. So yeah. Now we're moving on to the second tip, which is composition. So yeah, which is composition. And this is how to use the grid. I know many of you don't have these grids showing on your iPhone, but basically they help you shoot in the rule of thirds. I won't get into too much of that, but the rule of thirds just help you, what's the word? They help you direct your eye to the main subject in the photo. So you'll see, also before we move on, how to set up the grid. So what you'll do is you'll open up your iPhone and then you'll go to settings. From settings, you'll get to camera, you'll scroll down to camera, and then you will switch on the grid so that every time you open up your camera, you can have this grid here showing to help you compose an image. So what I found is when I use this grid, my composition then becomes a lot quicker, because sometimes you literally have to whip up your phone and take an image on the as quickly as you can, because you're gonna either miss the moment, or that's the only opportunity that you're gonna get to actually just getting that that image. And so here it's leading lines. So with leading, like here, I just used cropping. Yeah, the cropping for composition. You'll see I almost showed you there with my finger. You'll see that's the full image. That's the full image you'll see. And then I just moved up the crop to there so that I could lead the eye more to the trains. But also here, I've played with the lines here, here in the Gautrain station. I like these images more in black and white. Don't ask me why, but like black and white is the color photography, they say. But yeah, I feel like sometimes you need to just crop down your images to make them a bit more stronger. You know, the image on the left, I didn't like that there was a lot of dead space there, but I had to, so that's why I brought it up a bit to more of a square format, just to make that image a lot more stronger. The image on the right as well, I did the same. So the main focus is the train there in the third quadrant there. And again, I used leading lines to lead you to the subject of the photo, which is the train. So yeah, the tracks are also the platform, and the side of the platform are leading you to that section where the train is. So that's my subject in the photo. So whenever you, if you set up your grid, you can get these shots a lot quicker versus you just taking it and then having to crop at the end. So with composition, I found that you can use the portrait feature for composition. By saying that, I just mean that you use what you have in the foreground and isolate it from what's happening in the background. So these two images, what I've done with them, I've also used rule of thirds, where the image on the left, I've got my cycling friends there again. There's, if I can just do this, I'm going to draw this. There we go. I'm going to just do that and just draw that. You'll see on each quadrant, there's the left on the left. And then there in the middle, I've got her. And then at the end, I've got her as well. But by using the blur, I've isolated these three ladies from what's happening there at the back. So you can see that they're still riding in a group. The blur's not so much, but because I wanted you to see what is happening behind them, that they're not just riding alone. We are riding as a group, but also it just makes it so much more stronger as well, just to have them in the foreground, wearing the same tees, and then you have a group of our other friends coming in the background as well. But also my reason for not over blurring is because I still want to see the scene at the back. I don't, like you'll see here on the right, this is Kumo, a friend of mine. I still wanted to see the zebra here, but by using the blur a little bit, I've isolated her from the background, but then the background just adds a little bit more texture to it. So software and hardware. By hardware, I mean the camera lens. So a lot of the time, we'll look at our camera from our pockets and then we'll just take a picture. But by the time when you get home and you look at your picture, it's blurry. Why is that? Your lens is dirty. So please, 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 every time you whip out your phone from your pocket, just use your t-shirt or your sweater, the under part of it, and then just give it a good wipe. Just give it a good wipe and make sure that there are no fingerprints before you take a picture. Because I've been asked in the past to fix a picture that I could see was blurry, and I was asked to make it look sharp again. I was like, it's over with your picture. I can't make it sharp because when you took it, you didn't wipe your lens. And I've always said this to my friends, whenever you take out your phone, wipe the lens first before taking your picture. So for these other ones, I just want to connect so that I can show you exactly what focus exposure is. And then zooming, my tip to you, never zoom. How I would zoom is I would walk backwards and forwards, but also with portrait mode, you can't zoom. So just keep that in mind as well, how you want your final image to look. You could always crop it in the end, you know, but let me show you how to do focus zoom. I think this is going to be very beneficial to most of you. there we go. So that's my iPhone. So I'm gonna move to the camera. Wait, just make sure it's clean for you guys. I'm just gonna put this there. That will be my subject. So it's asking me to move further back. Okay, there we go. Wait, I need to give you a blur. So from there, what you do is to get the focus lock is you hold onto your screen and then that square will pop up. And then from there, you're locked onto that bottle. And from here, I want to show you how to actually adjust your lighting here. So you're going to hold it again. It's going to lock. And then from here, you can move it down. You'll see it's going to get darker, or you can move it up. And that's just to fix your exposure. So you can try this every time you take a photo. Sometimes it's not necessary, but it's a good trick to have. Yeah, it's very important to know when to shoot something. I also found that when you shoot things like this, like glass as well, just a tip for you guys going forward. When you shoot glass, it tends to disappear at the top. So just make sure that your background as well is allowing you to not lose this top section of the glass, because I've seen a lot of people like taking portraits of their beverages. You know, I'm a water drinker, as you can see. So yeah, so let me just move back to my presentation. And yeah, so that is focus exposure that I just showed you, and zooming. You all know how to zoom, but how I would encourage you to zoom going forward is for you to move forward and backwards. So you'll move into your picture, to get closer, and then you'll walk back, versus you using the zoom. When you zoom, you lose quality of your image. So that's why I want you to walk in and walk out of your shot. So there is portrait mode. Many of you have noticed this portrait mode, and then there's photo mode, normal photo mode, which I will touch on a bit later. There's pano. Pano will take the panoramic views. I find that it works nice when you're out, let's say in Mpumalanga, and you want to get a lot of that landscape, or when you're in Cape Town, you want to get more Table Mountain with Lion's Head there as well. But I wouldn't overuse it because the images are quite small. When you do take those images just for your personal sake, I haven't really seen people post them on socials. I myself wouldn't post them on socials, but I think it's nice to have when you go back home to show people to give them more of an idea of what the surroundings. And then there's live mode. Live mode just takes little photo pics, but I think they're a couple of seconds long, just to give you a bit of movement there. And you can also manipulate those to create GIFs. So yeah, those are my 3 tips to taking great photos on iPhone. So yes, remember, number 1, location and lighting. Please do move around to find the best background and the best lighting as well. Unfortunately for me, I was just shooting at home, so I had to make do with what I could. Find good lighting, very, very important. If you can, use a diffuser. So yeah, avoid harsh lighting for highlighted areas. But if you want that contrasted feel, just make sure you work on that autofocus lock and try and manipulate it. Number 2, composition. Composition is very important to creating a strong image as well. You can use portrait mode to put emphasis on the foreground subject. Number 3, software and hardware. Please, please, please clean your lens. Yeah, just clean lens is important. And then also just play with the autofocus for different exposure levels, and start playing around with new things, start taking pictures of leaves, which I'm going to be showing you as well, but like just play around with that autofocus lock. Um, taking an image using portrait mode, which is why we're all here. So again, here's a little short snippet that I shot earlier. So just to remember, when you shoot in portraits, don't be too close to the background. You'll see that you're actually losing. Let me go back there a little bit. You actually lose your depth there. So try not to be too close to the background, or else just use normal photo mode if you can't move away from the background, because there's no point in taking an image like this when not really getting the blur, and it's going to ask you to move forward, it's going to ask you to move back. So yeah, just save yourself. Then you'll see I'm going to ask B90 to move away from the wall, and automatically you'll see there, let me pause that. You'll see there that there's actually a lot more blur in the background. Play that again. So, excuse me. So that's the result that you want when you shoot portrait mode. So you want your background blurry. You still want to establish the scene that you are in the garden. And yeah, so don't be too close to the wall. Portrait mode won't give you that depth. So move away from the wall to get that depth that you want. I'm gonna just play this again so that you have an idea again. So that's very close to the wall. I'm gonna ask her to move away from the wall, and you'll see on the right, things start changing automatically. You start getting more of a blur. There you go. That's the result of that. And then I asked her to, okay, I took different angles as well, just so that I can have more of a variety, but I'm still getting that blur in the background. And then also move around just to get a different background as well. And I'll ask it to move back as well. The tree there is blurred out perfectly. I'll ask them to move back and touch the tree. Yes, you'll see there, unfortunately, the tree is not that much blurred out, but yeah, let's move away from the background, is what I'm saying. Move back from the background, and so that you can get more blur in the background, which is what we want when we are shooting on portrait mode. So these are the two different images, also not edited. On the left, very close to the wall. On the right, away from the wall. So those are the two results that you get when you use portrait mode, but we want this particular result where the background is blurred. So yeah, tips. Sometimes you find that when you're taking more than one person, you'll find that the other person is out of focus. So how to combat that is try to get both your subjects in line with each other, so that both your subjects are in focus. Fortunately for me, with these two images, the gentleman there, he's slightly blurred out compared to my friend Figile. Slightly blurred out, but I feel like this image still works. It gives it a very warm feel. And then also on the image on the right, my friend Liesel, she's slightly blurred compared to my friend Dudu. But also it works because these two images, it's a moment shared. It gives you a vibe. You're not really too focused on is it too sharp or is it too much blur in the background. It's just giving you good vibes, But as I said, for you to take better selfie portrait images, just make sure that you're in line with each other, and that should handle you being in focus. You and your, well, in this case, it's myself and my grandmother, myself, my aunt, and my grandmother on the image on the right-hand side. But yeah, that's how you can combat losing focus on your partner there that you're taking a selfie with. So getting a blurred background without using portrait mode. So I shared this last time at one of the InstaMeet um, uh, workshops that I did, but I did it live and I just experienced a lot of difficulty. So what I did as well, I created another video just to show you how you can use the normal photo. You'll see there's normal photo to still get a blurry background. So these are like macro shots that you wouldn't normally get with portrait mode, because it'll ask you to move back. But when you move back, you can't really focus on like dandelions like this to get then to stick out from the environment. So press play. You'll see on the left, I just focus on that, bring down the exposure a little bit, and then I take the image. So I'm gonna pause that just so that you can take it in. You'll see that I'm still getting a lot of detail there, which is what I want. You know, I want the detail of this dandelion. It's important to me. And it also just sticks out a lot better from what's happening in the background there as well. So move on. I'm gonna take another image, but with this image, I'm gonna bring down the exposure a lot more. So you'll see there as well. Touch, focus, bring it down. And it's just slightly darker than the previous image. So you'll see, wait, let me just do that. So you'll see there as well, I still want the detail. Detail is everything when you take photos, because everyone just likes zooming into your pictures. So again, I don't want you to zoom in on your phone, rather move back and forth to zoom in and to zoom out. So that in post, then you can just crop it in tighter without losing that detail. So these are the two images that I took before. This image on the left. You'll see it's more exposed compared to this one, but with the underexposed one, you'll see there's a lot more going on. There's a lot more detail. It's more isolated from the background there, which is something that I like personally. So these images also haven't been edited straight out of iPhone. These are more macro shots that I took. So again, here you will have to move closer on photo mode, focus, and then take your picture. You can adjust the exposure however much you feel is right for that image. Again, here with the B, but these two images are edited actually, now that I look at them. These two images are edited, so I'm not trying to fool you. The B as well, be careful if you're going to be trying this, like, sure, it's these things move around quite a bit, but you also have to be quite quick in capturing it. So yeah. Food shots, there's an alternative to flat lays, which is taking it from the side. Again, you'll see the focus point is more on this cookie here, and the background is blurred. The foreground is blurred, which almost looks like I took it with a DSLR camera, and I took it with this iPhone 11. So play around with your photo mode, but photo mode, so great for macro shots. I find that also for food shots as well, it works brilliantly because I don't like losing certain soft detail on the edge of the plate or wherever, but these on photo mode, it works great. And in portrait mode will work great for other things. So adjusting the amount of blur or depth, this has to be one of the best features to come out because I kind of enjoy adjusting my own blur. And So I'm going to teach you how to do this. So you're going to go to you're going to open an image. You're going to click edit. And then on the top right corner of the screen, you're going to click F2 on the top left corner of the screen. And then there's an adjustment tool that will appear below. But I know saying it is different. So let me do it with you. Do it with you. I think it'll be a lot better. There we go. So you're going to go photo. I'm going to select one of the images I took yesterday. Let me select that one. So on the top right there, you'll see edit. So you're going to click edit. It's going to put you in the editing suite. And then on the top left, there's F2.8. You're going to click on it. And then at the bottom, there's that depth control there. You'll see it moving there. But when it moves like that, look at the background. That's at F16. That's at F4. F16, F4. So I love this feature that you can actually control the amount of blur that you want on the picture. I never personally take them all the way to the end. I don't think there's a need for that. I always feel like I want to show people the surroundings as well, because they're equally as beautiful. That's why I'm taking the photo anyway, you know. So for on this photo, I would probably leave it at like 5.6, so you can still get to see the trees there, the background, you know, the background as well. So I like that. But for some people, I know they'll put it there. That's your preference. But again, I'm trying to teach you how to get DSLR quality out of this bad boy. So that's how you set up. That's how you change depth on a portrait. Unfortunately, you can only do this, or fortunately rather, you can only do this on images taken on portrait mode. You'll see right there at the top, it's written portrait. So on images like that, that's when you can adjust the portrait feature. Let me just go back into edit. I want to show you something very interesting here. So you'll see at the bottom there, right there, there's different features as well. Just check how it changes everything. So you can also play with those when you're shooting portraits, mono, high key, studio. So it's got a studio effect, but we all know I shot it outdoors, but you can still get that. So play around with that, see if you can get creative with that editing. And again, if you didn't know, you can edit your images here as well. There's auto, there's exposure, brilliance, whatever you need to adjust your image. There's also filters here, in case you didn't know, to adjust your image however you feel. So go crazy with that too. But yeah, I'm so thankful that we now have that f-stop adjust tool. So there you go. So yeah, adjusting the blur and depth. So you're going to open image, click edit at the top right hand corner of the screen, click F2.8 at the top left corner, and then the adjustment tool will appear at the bottom for you to adjust the amount of blur that you want in the image. So again, reminder, lighting and location surroundings are very important, very key. Clean your camera before shooting. Try not to zoom, rather walk back and forth into your image, and then switch on your composition grid to help you compose a better, a stronger image. And then smaller items, don't use portrait mode, rather go to the photo mode and shoot a more macro shot. and then find the correct depth for your images. Going all the way to f1.4 may not always work, especially with ladies that have frizzy hair. You tend to lose detail in the hair as well. So those are my tips. And yeah, we're gonna move on to the Q&A. Let me just open my Q&A section and hear what you guys have to ask me. Okay, cool. Must the sun always be behind you when you shoot? No, it doesn't always have to be behind you. I would prefer the sun hitting the subject like head on. So maybe, I don't know if you can see it like head on. It just creates a more lit subject. So you don't necessarily have to have the light in the background. I think when you have it in the background, it just makes it a lot more interesting sometimes. Can you only get contrast by using an editing tool, or one can trick the phone to take pictures with good contrast? Yes, use the autofocus feature. So you'll tap on your image, and then you'll use the autofocus to create that contrast. But when you create contrast, you can either bring it all the way, like you have to bring it down to create that contrast. What is a diffuser? Shoot. Wait, I have one here. Sorry, I have to get up. A diffuser is one of these. That's a reflector, which is something that I use all the time, whether I'm shooting on my iPhone or I'm shooting with my camera. But that's a diffuser. It's very light, as you can see. But what it does is it brings down the amount of light coming in. You'll see there's a difference already when I do that compared to that. So that's a diffuser, this little round thing. You can get it at any camera shop. Done. And then what diffuser do you use with the iPhone? Patrick, I used this actually. Kele, same thing. Lebohang, I'm not happy with my portrait pictures are small. I'm using an iPhone 11. I don't understand when you say they're small. I'm using the exact same phone and I'm getting great results. Perhaps you want to stay after and then we can chat further on it in the chat section. Lebohang, please. Okay. Veronique, a diffuser, you just get one of your other friends to hold it up like this, like I explained. This is a diffuser. It's just this round thing. You can use your curtain as well. It just softens the light that's coming in. That's what it is. Diffuser, please explain how you use the diffuser in this situation. So in this situation, I actually just had my camera up. And I just kind of had to grow another arm to hold it to take the portrait. Where was the diffuser placed in the last shot? Let me just see what last shot that is. I hope you're talking about this one. So with the diffuser, you actually look at where the sun is coming from, and you actually just put it against, you're literally creating shade for your subject. That's what you're doing. So you're blocking out the sun that's coming in, like what I'm doing now. That's how you'd use it in any situation, really. So when you reflect, you're taking sun and you're putting it onto the subject. Diffusing, you're creating a screen. Where was the diffuser? Okay, I've answered that. Peggy Sue. What is a diffuser? Done. Tim Hart, is there specific diffuser for iPhones? Answer live. Not really, no. It's just this is the one that I have. If you have a curtain at home and someone can hold it up for you, use that. There's no right or wrong way to diffuse, just as long as you uh, um, soften the light that's coming onto your subject. Recap on the rule of thirds. So rule of thirds, my release. Recap on the rule of thirds. So rule of thirds just generally helps to lead the eye to the subject of the photo. So that's what rule of thirds is in a nutshell. Where can you get it if you're using an, where can you get it? I'm assuming you're talking about the f-stop. Please DM me. I actually need to find this out for you because I haven't shot on the iPhone 8 Plus. Let me just, unless if the iPhone, the iStore guys can assist on this, please. How do you ensure focus on 11 Pro without portrait mode? How do you use the right lens of the 3? Basically, Zanella, you have to just understand what you're trying to shoot. If you're shooting something that's small like this, then you're going to use a normal photo, and then you're going to punch into it. Let me do this just to show you. Camera. So I'm going to go to the normal camera, and as you can see, use the autofocus lock, and then you can take your image, or you can use autofocus onto that, bring it down a little bit. It changes everything. So now you have these two images, that one and that one. So you'll see the background is still blurry, but you're not losing the detail on your focus point. Ntabi, I assume that's your name, Ntabi. Does the phone have a diffuser, or is it an extra? It's an extra. I can't find depth on my phone. Janine, please just drop me a message. What phone are you using? And then I can assist you. Answer live. Anonymous, yes, you can make a diffuser. You actually can make a diffuser. Just use very light white material to make it. Find something that can hold it on either side, really. And yeah, you can definitely make a diffuser. How can I DIY my own light diffuser? Like, any ideas? Maybe I should do a young tutorial on this. Maybe I'll do a tutorial. I'm gonna make a note on this, onto how to make your own diffuser, and then I'll share it with the guys. Is there any way? Let me go back to this. Is there any way to switch a picture you had already taken on in plain photo mode to portrait mode after you've taken it, the shot? Anonymous, unfortunately, you cannot. You cannot do that yet. Okay, what was your tip for shooting glass? Parts of it always gets away and deleted when I use portrait mode using an iPhone 11 Pro. My tip is, Janisha, you select an interesting background, you know, like maybe sometimes a darker background, but you cannot always win with that. Sometimes it's luck. Unfortunately, hopefully with updated software, we can get better use of the portrait feature, especially when shooting these things. Sorry, Janisha. Answer live. Charlene, strange. I don't see it on the 10S, maybe because I have a LR and Photoshop to edit. Charlene, please be a little bit more specific so I can assist you. I'm assuming you're talking about the f-stop. I'm not sure, but just be a little bit more specific so that I can assist you. What is the minimum distance to shoot in portrait mode? How safe is it to move back? Rule of thumb. Generally, when you start seeing the blur on the phone, is the best way um, to adjust. I think that's the safest distance. Just move around until you start seeing the blur, or until your phone decides to tell you, "Hey, move back or move forward, move closer to the subject." Peggy Sue Kumalo. I'm keen 10-year photography, please. 10-year photography, please share some tips for me to pursue my passion. Peggy, I think this would have to be on a different platform, but I'm definitely keen to assist. Answer live. Atli, your favorite phone editing apps? I always go to Visco, Snapseed, and Lightroom. Those are always like being in use with me, Atli. Can you focus, Irfan, can you focus on more than one item on portrait mode? Unfortunately not. Even with the DSLR cameras, it's very hard for you to focus maybe on two subjects because of the focal length that you're using. That's why I'm saying if you're going to be taking a group picture, try to get people in a line, aligned. Yeah, that's better English. Get your people aligned so that you can focus on one person, and automatically it'll focus on the next person. Yolanda, how do you take a photo with portrait mode during sunset with regards to lighting, being able to capture the moment? Yolanda, you're going to have to move around. Lighting does tend to be tricky as well, but it's so beautiful, especially during sunset. But it's possible, it's achievable, as you'll see on, where's that image? Where's that image? That image right there. So let me just share that. So on that image, you will see the sunset. Answer live. Janisha, should you adjust your depth before shooting in portrait or after? It's usually after. You do it after. It's an edit that you're doing. So I would always recommend that you edit your depth after shooting, because the camera is always going to determine the amount of depth when you're shooting the image, but afterwards you can always adjust it. Can you add blur to a photo afterwards using a free app called Focus? Focus. Oh wow, very useful if your phone doesn't have portrait mode. Well, that's one way to do it, I guess. Anonymous, thank you for that. Nkele, what's the best way to shoot portrait pictures at night? The light is always not good. I'm using an XR. Nkele, unfortunately, yeah, the light is always tricky, but I've got one of these. It's very small. It's like, well, for load shedding. As South Africans, we always have load shedding. But I find that you can always use this like this to take that portrait, just to increase the amount of light that you should have when taking it. Anonymous again, can you create a photo challenge of different types of photos for us? Then you can give us tips on your Instagram. Yeah, sure, no problem. I can definitely do that. I should take down on this. Anonymous, what's your name? But yeah, I think I'll do a photo challenge. Megs, I found a mobile 5-in-1 diffuser for 275, 60 centimeters at good price. Definitely, it's definitely a good price. Diffusers are generally expensive. but that's a good price. Definitely, I'd say go for it. Yusuf. Oh yes, Yusuf. Thank you so much. Yeah, it's a good idea for the challenge. Thank you. And then my last question, Halalelo. Please show us the light you use again with the camera view on you, not in the presentation. We missed the diffuser as well. Okay, let me do this. Let me go back to my camera. So there we go. I'm gonna switch to portrait mode. There we go. And then at night, you can use one of these lights. You can find them at Pick and Pay, wherever, hardware store. So if it's a low light situation, then you can always hold your light up from the top. Light naturally comes from the top, not from at the bottom. So you'll see I'm gonna have like a strange shadows there if I put it at the bottom, but if I put it at the top, you get a natural flow of shadows. So that's how you do it, and then you can take your portrait. So, and then without it, that's what it would look like. With it, that's what it looks like. So yeah. But yeah, should you guys have any more questions or whatever, please just send me a DM on my socials. It's Harmonix at Harmonix ENT on all my socials. I'll just put them up now for you. Those are my socials. And thank you so much for joining my iStore meets with the iStore. It's been great having you. And yeah, should you have any more questions, just send me a DM, follow me on my socials, Twitter and Instagram, it's Harmonix ENT. And don't forget to use the hashtag iStore meets. Thank you so much.